Are you wondering about the best RAM for your gaming setup? Do you want to know if more RAM is always better, or if there's a point of diminishing returns? How does RAM speed impact performance, and what are RAM timings? Are you curious about the difference between DDR3 and DDR4? Plus, what's an XMP profile, and how does that affect my performance? Well, stick around for this Tech Tuesday as we delve into the ins and outs of RAM and its impact on gaming. RAM, or random access memory, is a type of computer memory that is used to temporarily store data while the computer is running. It holds data that the processor is currently working on, as well as data that the computer needs quick access to, such as the operating system and other programs. RAM works together with the processor and storage devices, like the hard drive or SSD, to ensure smooth and efficient operation of the computer. When the CPU needs to access data stored in the RAM, it sends a request to the RAM, which is then processed by the RAM. The faster the RAM speed is, the quicker the data can be accessed and processed by the CPU, which can lead to better gaming performance or video editing performance. RAM speed is important as it determines how quickly the data can be accessed by the processor. Generally, higher speeds will result in better performance. RAM speed is measured in megahertz or gigahertz, and it determines how quickly the data can be accessed by the processor. Generally, higher speeds will result in better performance, but it's important to note that not all applications will benefit equally from faster RAM speeds. Typical RAM speeds for DDR3 range from 800 to 1600 MHz, while DDR4 typically ranges from 2133 to 3600 MHz. When it comes to gaming, higher RAM speeds can have a positive impact on performance, especially when playing games at high resolutions or with high settings. However, the difference in performance may not be as noticeable as with other components, such as the CPU or GPU. A user might notice the difference in performance when playing games at high resolutions or with high settings and with a setup that is already bottlenecked by the RAM, but for most users, it might not be noticeable. It's also important to note that RAM speed is not the only factor that affects performance. Other factors, such as the amount of RAM and the timings, also play a role. RAM timings refer to the speed at which the RAM can access data. They are measured in numbers such as 15 by 15 by 15 by 35, which represent the different aspects of memory access, such as the time it takes to access the first bit of data, CL, or the time between sending a command and the data being available, TRCD. Lower timings generally mean faster performance, as the RAM can access data more quickly. For the average user, the impact of RAM timings on gaming performance may be subtle and not as noticeable as other factors such as the amount and speed of RAM. However, for users who are running their systems at the edge of their capacity or with high-end hardware, the difference in performance may be more significant. DDR3 and DDR4 are different types of RAM, and they have different physical specifications, which mean that they require different motherboards. DDR3 RAM is an older standard, and its physical design is not compatible with the newer DDR4 motherboards. DDR4 RAM, on the other hand, is the current standard and is designed to work with newer motherboards that have the appropriate DDR4 memory slots. DDR3 RAM has a different number of pins, voltage requirements, and signal timings compared to DDR4 RAM, so you simply can't put DDR4 RAM into a DDR3 motherboard, or vice versa. DDR3 RAM uses 240 pins and operates at a voltage of 1.5 volts, while DDR4 RAM uses 288 pins and operates at a voltage of 1.2 volts. This means that if you try to install a DDR4 RAM in a DDR3 motherboard, the RAM will not fit and will likely cause damage to the motherboard and the RAM itself. Additionally, DDR4 RAM is faster than DDR3 RAM, which means that if you're planning on upgrading your system to take advantage of the faster speeds, you'll also need to upgrade your motherboard to one that supports DDR4 RAM. XMP profiles, or extreme memory profiles, are a feature built into some DDR4 memory modules that allow for faster memory speeds and timings. They are preset configurations that can be easily enabled in the motherboard's BIOS settings. They can be beneficial in that they can improve performance by allowing the system to access data stored in the RAM more quickly. However, it's important to check if your system is compatible with XMP profiles before enabling them, as they can cause damage if the system is not compatible or if the profiles are not configured properly. Not all systems can utilize XMP profiles, and it's important to check your motherboard's documentation or consult with a professional before enabling them. Setting up XMP profiles is a simple process that can be done through the BIOS settings of the motherboard, but it's important to make sure that your system is compatible before doing so. I will be making a separate video in the future explaining how to set up XMP profiles, so stay tuned for that. It is worth noting that XMP profiles are not mandatory for a system to work, but if your system is compatible with it, it can enhance the system's performance. When it comes to gaming, the amount of RAM can greatly impact performance. More RAM allows for more programs to run at the same time, which can prevent lag and stuttering. However, there is a point of diminishing returns where having more RAM than is needed for the current task will not provide any additional benefit. In terms of running the latest AAA games, this point of diminishing returns is usually around 16 gigabytes, though some games may require more. So that being said, the average user will not really notice a significant difference between 16 gigabytes and 32 gigabytes of RAM, as having more RAM than needed to run one program will not increase performance. Thanks for watching this Tech Tuesday on the topic of RAM and its impact on gaming. We hope you found the information helpful in understanding the importance of RAM and how to choose the right amount and type for your gaming setup. If you have any further questions or want to learn more about other tech topics, please leave them in the comments below and we'll do our best to address them in future videos. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more helpful tech videos, and if you're interested in more in-depth tech conversations, join our Discord community where you can connect with other tech enthusiasts and experts. Tonight, January 17th at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, we'll be discussing our last Tech Tuesday video on CPUs. Be sure to check that out if you haven't already. The Discord link is in the description below. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in our next video.